Facebook.
Hello, Facebook.
Hi,
Welcome to
people.
Wellness Wednesday. How are you guys doing out there? I'm Beth Copeland. I'm the Executive Director and founder of Georgia Christian Business Network. And our vision is to put God back in business. And we're so excited that you've joined us here for Wellness Wednesday, or perhaps you're watching the replay. Either way, we are thankful for you. During this Thanksgiving season, our licensed professionals are excited to help you, to position you with this great content that we've been discussing for the past 2 weeks, to help you in hopes of helping you to experience the best holiday season ever. You know who I have on the platform with me today? I am honored to introduce our corporate sponsors, Pamela Bridgeman, Bartell, and Rich, Oswald. They're going to talk to you about who they are and what they do. It's a great opportunity for you all today to glean from these outstanding individuals. So as I like to do is have them to introduce themselves, tell them who you are, what you do.
Right. And I always go first because I don't know why, but I do. You can contact me at 678-369-2995. I do have a practice Legacy Counseling Center, legacycounselingga.com, over in the east side of the suburbs of Atlanta in Snellville. I've been here for a little while now, doing work with individuals, couples, and families from adolescence on up, helping them with sort of more relaxed things or lighter things of making decisions or where to go in life, to more complicated or deeper issues with individuals or couples or families where there's long-term patterns that they want to change, and often driven by trauma as well. Keeps us stuck doing those things that we don't want to do. And I have background in education, mechanical engineering, construction, auto mechanics. I have 4 daughters and been married since 1998 to the same woman, and I grew up north in Pennsylvania.
My name is Pamela Bridgeman, and I grew up down south in Alabama. I have a practice called A Healing Journey Counseling and Consultation in Northwest Georgia, Cartersville, Georgia. I call it South Tennessee because I'm about 60 miles from Chattanooga. I do the same kinds of things that Rich does. I see people a little bit younger than Rich. I see kids from 5 all the way through geriatric. And I have been doing compassionate care since 1976.
Yes, I always remember that, the bicentennial. That makes it easy. And you're an Air Force vet, so it goes even more.
And I am an Air Force veteran and ordained minister. I had the distinct privilege of speaking at a Veterans Day event last week. It was humbling and it was very emotional. At the end of my speech, or incorporated in my speech, I recited the oath of office. I, Pamela Bridgeman, do solemnly swear. And as I began to quote the oath of office, all the veterans who were in the audience started quoting it with me. And that was just a very, very emotional and uplifting experience.
So cool.
That was so outstanding. You did such a wonderful, wonderful job positioning that. I loved your lead in. I love the personal touch. I had an opportunity. Did you share it? Did I share it?
I shared the video on my Facebook page.
Right. It was so awesome, for definite. So we're just thankful to have you both on the platform today. It's exciting and humbling. I heard you say that, to be asked to do that. But you know what's humbling for me? That for the past year, you two have been faithful in your commitment to putting God back in business and undergirding us, not only through your financial support, but also through your time here on this platform. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow to really, really have you as a part of the celebration for all of our sponsors. But we're going to slip a little something to you that we hope will be an encouragement to you as well. that we just really appreciate what you've been doing here, okay? And I'll let you know that your person that was to present today was going to be Delisa Brown. And I don't think she's gonna make it today. I didn't reach out to her because her mother-in-law passed away. And so Mama Brown passed away. So I could just tell from some personal text messages, because we're personal friends, that she wasn't anyways thinking about, not that she doesn't care and love us, because you guys know she's faithful, Wellness Wednesday. And I just did an exchange last night in our little group. You know, she was talking about just getting back from Savannah and gonna turn and burn and have to be back down there tomorrow. So she just gotten back last night. So I know we'll make a special day.
My condolences.
Would that be okay later down the road? Okay. Okay. So this time we have together, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, we've been talking about gratitude. Rich, do you want to summarize what we've talked about to this point?
Yeah, I'll jog my memory here. Yeah, defining gratitude and why is it important? And I guess the difference between thankfulness and gratitude, right? Thankfulness is kind of an attitude, and great gratitude is a, right? Am I doing that
Action.
right? An action. Yes, I love that. That's an awesome way to describe it, because character is one thing, behavior is something else. And I just tell people, we, you know, out of the heart, the mouth speaks. So it's kind of out of the heart we do. So kind of paying attention to the attitude that we have and how that drives our behavior. So we get that attitude, and then we can move in and do things that
I'm going to ask that gets repeated at least once more, possibly twice. You did a great job with that. Yeah.
The attitude and gratitude.
Yeah.
And
I think we need to really, because when I think of pain, and what we're going to talk about today, someone texted me and saw the title and told me that they were going to try to join us on Zoom. So I'm going to reach out to them in just a second to remind them, a couple of people that had said something about it, because people are struggling with already, you know, it started, I don't know, earlier this year, perhaps, I'm not sure, but this is a real thing, you know, what we're talking about here. And it's very, very important.
Yes, that attitude. Pamela does such a great job of positive psychology. I love it. Appreciate that so much, Pamela. You take the spin on seeing the positives on things. And I kind of come from the engineering problem solution deal. So my sister here does the positive, which is really fantastic. So
I just love you guys. Oh man, you just make my heart just do some stuff, you know?
And last week we talked about ways to actually put in action to demonstrate gratitude. And then today we're talking about, so last week we talked about, here's some things that you can do, and all of those things are upbeat and using Rich's word, positive. So what do I do when I'm hurting myself? You know, can I, you know, how do I express gratitude when I am in spiritual, emotional, or physical pain? How do I express gratitude? And I would like to say, before we actually go into ways of expressing gratitude through the hurt, I want to give you permission to take a break, to be kind to yourself, that express gratitude for being able to be resilient. Because actually, and there's a proverb, and Beth, you may be able to know where the address is. I'm not good with addresses. I'm pretty good with the quotes or the verses, but I'm not good with addresses. But there's a proverb that talks about an empty cistern, and you can't give out of an empty cistern. Yeah. So if you are hurting, and we talked about gratitude. We talked about the things that spill out. We also talked about sometimes people drain you of that energy that you need. And so you may need to step back and do a little self-care or a lot of self-care before you begin again doing some of the more practical expressions of gratitude. Does it make sense, Rich?
Yeah, and are you really that rest?
Yes.
But Pamela, I love the way you say that. It seems like there's an anointing there when you say that and give us permission to do something. And I mean, that's important because I know in one-to-one with you, you've given me permission to do things. And sometimes people may question, well, why does someone else have to give you permission? But it's like an affirmative that says it's okay, because we need affirmation from people that, because so many people say, you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that, or that's not how you're supposed to feel. You know, on yesterday, I had Jenny Smith from
The Grief, yes.
Oh gosh, Change
Yeah.
Navigators. She was outstanding. And if you guys are available, let me plug right now, catch her on the Friday Noon Nugget in the Facebook Live group. But one of the things that I mentioned her name is because I was thinking when you were saying that the world tells us how we should grieve, and they don't even have a clue. And some of the things that we have fine-tuned to grieve and are limiting us to the other things that we're feeling. So like this month, we're talking about how do I give when I'm hurting and I'm in pain, or this week, we're talking about that. And one term that I said to her that she mentioned it, get over. I almost wish, sometimes I can't stand it. It's almost like, it just does something to me for people to tell people to just get over it.
Yeah.
And you
I have that in my notes today about, the, yeah, I agree with you totally, Beth. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I agree with you totally.
But sometimes just giving people, it was just so common, you know, even for myself. And I'm not sure what, you know, maybe I need to sit in the chair or something and figure out what made the calmness come on. But it did. And it flashed back to yesterday, maybe. Is that what it was? As an affirmation to some of the things that she had said. And I don't know that we hear that enough in society, do we?
No, not for given permission. And it's really interesting because we say, I've done the same thing, if you have permission to do that. And it's not even just from me. It's just saying, hey, you know, God has given you permission, and to actually embracing that, right? Because it's not a correct view of our dad who's going to just push us to get over things. He knows our heart, acknowledges our heart, and really wants to help us acknowledge the fullness of it. So it really is just speaking truth to people, because we do get caught up in the culture. It's like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, right? But we don't even know exactly where we're going. We're just moving fast sometimes, and you get past,
you know,
quickly.
Rich, I go back to Elijah running from Jezebel, and God gave him permission to rest. Set him down underneath the tree, put him to sleep. When he woke up, gave him angel food, or had the angels feed him. But basically, that permission to rest, and didn't, well, until later on, didn't scold him about running from Jezebel.
Yeah, right.
Even with
We'll
that,
deal with that later. Get you in a place
we'll get to that. You know, to me is what that says. We'll get to that. But is that most urgent? The care, the comfort, the concern.
Well, you can't really even handle it if
you know,
you're that
even the provisions, the raven, you know, all of that.
Yeah, just rest, Elijah,
and
then go and express gratitude, you know, by giving the widow, prophesying to the widow so that she can have her provision. But you rest first. You rest first.
You rest first. Yeah.
So should, or, you know, can people grieve when they're hurting? Should people grieve when they're hurting? And I think the answer to both of those questions is yes, that we both can do it. I think it takes being intentional about doing it, because it's so easy to do woe is me and nobody knows the trouble I see. It's really easy to do that. And so you have to get beyond the nobody knows the trouble I see and step into your path of gratitude. And when you do, you will find that expressing gratitude has a way of energizing you. I mean, because you actually do have to, gratitude itself. It's like you have often said, Beth, and I think I've heard you say, Rich, that, I mean, you can't be real down if you just put a smile on your face. There's something about smiling that energizes you, and expressing gratitude typically brings a smile to your face. And so it energizes you, but it also has the power to heal brokenness. It really does have the power to heal brokenness, because you cannot give without receiving back. So as you're giving gratitude, you're giving a sense of wholeness and health, and then you're receiving it back. And so expressing of gratitude can also heal your brokenness. Just one comment before we go on. I was reading, you guys know I like to do a lot of reading before we do these presentations. And I read one article that talked about the physical pain, and Beth, you and I know what it's like. I don't know about you, Rich. We know what it's like, push through that physical pain. And she suggested that one of the ways that you can really push through the pain is express gratitude for the part of your body that is not hurting.
Oh man, awesome. Yeah. I love it.
Because you're looking at that, it empowers you. It's like, well, if this part of me is still whole and functioning, I have hope that this other part of me, in my case, these arthritic knees, will also one day be whole and functioning. Isn't that kind of cool?
This is so good, because this is the thing. Gratitude, being grateful, it's like we hone in sometimes too often on what's not working. It's what you just made me to consider. But what about all the blessings and all the things that are working? And if I can concentrate more my focus on, my back hurts, and I'm talking about Beth Copeland. I'm gonna be transparent a little bit, just from this morning and this week. I've been experiencing back pain, those flare-ups from the accident in February. And I believe that from just hearing you, and I understand the soothing piece of it now, it's okay to, like Jenny was talking yesterday with the revolving door, and like Pamela was even saying earlier, is the permission to rest. And sometimes, honestly, I'm just going to be very transparent with y'all right now. Listen, if something wasn't bothering me, I don't know that I'd ever stop. I don't know that I would. I don't know.
Knowing you, Beth, you probably wouldn't.
It's the truth. And so
I know you.
Look at Rich, Pamela.
Lots of coffee or something to keep up with her. There's this. You're not almost 60 or 61.
Excuse me. Thank you very much. I'll be 63 in less than 5 weeks. God
all
willing.
right. So you're not even that. You're more like 6 as far as the energy level you have.
Right.
Like they did the test on professional basketball players and see if they could keep up with toddlers, and the toddlers won.
Right.
But do you see what I'm saying? And not that what I'm trying to learn is to not have to get in that situation of God, sending me a nudge that says rest, But say I'm already in the pain. How do I come out of that so that I can get to the place of understanding and recognizing that there is a lot in my life even to yet be grateful for. How do you do that? How do you climb out of that to get to that?
Yeah, I think there's different categories that go through mine too, right? There's the acute pain, and there's the chronic pain, which can be treated fairly differently. Chronic pain can be a very, very difficult thing to work with, and there's actually focus areas in counseling that
Mhm,
deal with helping people with chronic pain. Because
mhm.
if something never lets up, right, you can be grateful for a lot of other things, but if that pain is always present, which maybe you ladies experience some of that, it's it's really hard to not kind of get drug into that feeling, right? I don't have
Pain is a
level.
depressant,
Yes,
physical pain is a
yeah,
depressant.
and you notice it. Like it's hard not to,
You,
right?
you don't get away from that pain. You just
So,
don't do it,
so kind of
You just
thinking,
don't.
keeping that in mind of how do we get out of the pain? Some of it's like thinking of the acute stuff, and right, or short-term grief or grief. We were just talking about the Lisa losing her mother-in-law earlier on, and because it's an instant in time, it's a pain, it's a pretty severe pain, right? We have those pains that are like spikes, they're short-lived but intense, and the chronic ones that whatever intensity may be there, but they go on for a long, long, long time. And those are kind of, I think, of treating them slightly differently um, in the process. But
Yeah,
Right.
the scripture tells us to count it all joy, consider it all joy when we have various trials, pains,
Mhm.
tribulations, and all of that. And and it says so that you can be perfect and entire, lacking nothing. But that is not the same as just get over it.
Mm-mm.
That is not the same as just get over it. It's saying, okay, be intentional because and consider this joy. And remember, we talked about joy probably 2 months or 3 months back, and
Mhm.
we talked about joy being that contentment and calm acceptance.
Mhm.
It's in CBT, I'm sorry, DBT, we call it radical acceptance. Sort of,
Mhm.
okay, this is what it is. This isn't going to change. So I need to find a way to develop resilience. I need to find a way to navigate through it. And with with physical pain, it is both using what we call reframing, as well as obviously doing whatever your medical provider prescribes in terms of dealing with the actual physical part of it. But I'm telling you that your emotions or your mentality as well as your spiritual perspective also helps you to endure even physical pain.
Mhm.
And so making sure that you are intentional about the scripture just came to mind where Paul says, 3 times I asked God to take
Yeah.
this away from me, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient. Now, researchers don't know whether that was emotional pain or physical pain that Paul had, but we know that it was pain.
Mhm.
And he said that he was told, my grace is sufficient. So for us as Christ followers, I think that one of the first things that we have to do to deal with it and to be able to express gratitude is to remember that His grace is sufficient, and express gratitude to Him, which will then allow us to express gratitude to those who come alongside us as
Mhm.
well.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that scripture because that was placed before me this morning earlier, and it's 2 Corinthians 12:9. And what you said is, I besought the Lord thrice that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure. I wanted to get to that part. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distress, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. And I wanted to read the latter part of that as well, because that is so timely to what we're discussing here today, is get into the place of verse 10. Therefore, I take pleasure in the pain.
Therefore, I am able
Right.
to express gratitude. And notice in that there were a variety of, as I said, there's mental distress, there's emotional distress, there's spiritual distress, and Paul probably had some kind of physical distress. And yet he said, therefore, I find a way to be grateful.
Right, right. And I think like you have said both earlier, is the key to dealing with the pain and not getting over it, but getting beyond, moving beyond the pain. I know it's real. Rich has already helped us to understand that that real pain that is difficult if you experience it. But like Pamela said earlier, also is making sure that we're taking whatever medication if we're dealing with physical pain. Emotional pain, I'm going to have to say to you as well, you need to take the medication. I'm going to tell you what it is. It starts with, it's sitting in someone's chair, going for these two here, to talk through the things. Sometimes for me, honestly, it's just a safe ground where I can share with other people. I like that Jenny offered 30 minutes of a free coaching session for anyone that was on the call, and really anyone that just really needs it. She wants to avail herself for grief counseling and grief coaching. And so that's an opportunity through a GCBM member as well. The issue is that I believe is we have to take the step first to say that I want the help. I got to a point with coaching in my coaching business. If someone was saying so-and-so needs, you call them. I said, I eventually got to the point where, oh no, that I'm sorry. They're serious, they're ready. I said, then give them my information.
Right.
Because that first step is important to me in the service that I provide, to let me know that they're definitely wanting it. And this isn't someone wanting something more for someone else than they want it for themselves. You know what I'm saying about that?
And one of the things that I have made note of is that you actually have to put gratitude in motion. It's Newton's first law, physics, Newton's first law of motion. An object in motion stays in motion. Therefore, the more you practice gratitude, the more you will be grateful.
Wow.
Wow, you bringing physics into this is awesome. Woohoo! Love it.
I tell you, we're such a wonderful opportunity to work together. I love it. And,
sure.
And we're bouncing off of one another because honestly, it's like a cycle, and I was thinking this morning, will I be able to put this out there? But here I go. I'm Luke 6:38, to give, and it shall be given unto you. And so what is it that you stand in need of? What is defining the it? You define the it, you want to
Why
get.
are you taking from my speech for your meeting tomorrow?
Oh, awesome. I'm looking forward to that then. Okay. I don't know. Ask him. Well, that's a different audience, but isn't that important though, that we define it? And if we can get, I got a call this morning, speaking of what Pamela is referring to for tomorrow, is our GCBN corporate sponsors appreciation luncheon. And then also an opportunity for community partners. And all of these are, guess what? These are donations for seven. And one of these came in this morning for 7 organizations that are doing great things. And we're covering from homeless to children to seniors, college students, education in memory of my father, the late W.F. Bailey, the seniors in memory of my mom, and all kinds of opportunities where we're giving back through GCBN. And y'all, can I tell you what the amount is that we're giving in total?
Sure.
$4,250. Little GCBN, God's People Ministry. Is that not outstanding?
That's outstanding.
That is outstanding. And that's the most we've ever given. And we're totally excited about that, and I wanted so much to make it 5. You know me, I'm just like, can we make it 5? Can we make it 5? But we got to keep operating till we can bring some more money in, and so wisdom is the principal thing. But can I tell you, I told you about my pain. It gives me so much joy to keep going in this week. This is the week that I think I felt, since I've gotten much better, the worst pain. But at the same time, doing this project is just encouraging me. And it's like, some days I'm like this, and some days I'm like this. In my mind, I'm always like that, right? So the pain of the pleasure of serving can minimize the attention on the pain from whatever the matter, whether it's physical, emotional. Does that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me thinking about Pamela, you mentioned I think 4 of the way I described as kind of 5 parts or 5 areas: the emotional, the intellectual, the spiritual, the physical, and the relational. Spreading those out to identify the kind of 5 areas of us as people. They're 5 distinct, but they're also majorly intertwined. Right? And Beth, you get me thinking that you might have physical pain, right? So in that area, but you're using relational, emotional, spiritual aspects in there to bring gratitude and attitude of giving that offset that. And the psychosomatic thing we talk about too, right? The psychosomatic, the mind, the heart, the soul, and somatic, the physical. And our physical can manifest the aspects of emotional or mental challenges. So even though it's not a physical actual issue, it shows up that way. So you can think of the reverse sort of influencing in the positive as well.
Right.
And then I was going to mention this is I'm reading a bit, just finished a book by John Eldridge. Was it All Things New? And I love him. He's a great author. Not everybody drives, but I just enjoy him a lot. He's an artist slash counselor slash outdoors guy. So he brings a lot of those things together. But this book is looking at the promise of God to renew all things, and even having the attitude of gratitude of that remembering this place is going to be renewed and it's going to be restored, right? He destroys the old earth and builds a new one, and that one's built perfectly. And thinking of that, to how excited and encouraged we can be to recognize that that is the plan, that is what's going to happen, right? So even though there's challenges in this world, right, Paul says, count it all joy, because right, the momentary issues now don't compare to the long-term joy and glory that we get to experience. So keeping that in mind too. And at the end, John suggests praying to get God to give us visions or dreams about what that's going to look like. Right, the streets of gold, the city. You're asking him what's the city going to look like? What's the ground? What's some of my memories and places I loved? What are they going to be like? Then he said, you want to take a super challenge? Ask God to show you how he sees you in that renewed place. And I haven't taken that challenge yet, but that one sounds pretty massively influential to get a view of what that's going to be like. So if you see how Christ sees you in that eternal place, right, how much is it going to make going through whatever this is here really somewhat simple and easy?
That's awesome. I just identified 5 ways, and there's a lot of ways that we can be grateful in the worst of times. And the first one, Rich, was pray. And I think that suggestion by that author is an awesome prayer to pray. Couldn't that give you gratitude? Absolutely. And Beth said earlier, another way we can do it is just find joy in the little things. It doesn't have to be anything big. Find joy in the little things and be grateful for just the little things. Focus on what you have, and Beth said this too. Focus on what you have rather than what you don't have. Think about your situation in an empowering way. Rich says I always put a positive spin on things, but I do believe in finding a way to be empowering. And I think one of the really great ways that you can learn to be grateful is to surround yourself with grateful people.
I not to cut you off, but what? I'm going to just put this out here. You can blame it on Pamela, but too many holidays I spent around people that really didn't embrace me for enjoyment around the holidays. And I'm going to tell you something. The holidays are designed away from work for most people, but y'all know I'm not going to tell y'all just not coming home for Thanksgiving. I'm just not going to talk about that. But but for the most part, you want to be able to relax. I see you guys laughing at me, but it's okay. I'll get you later. But
you're not going to talk about it. Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, you want to, as much as possible, whatever time you have available, to take that and be relaxing and enjoying and all of that stuff. And if you're around an environment that's not really embracing you, they're not even knowing what you might be going through. I think you have to own some of that to protect. Why are you doing it? And I'm talking to self first.
Self-care.
Self-care. Is I had to get to the point to say, why are you doing this? What? No, everything that I came up with, that was another opportunity. Well, I want to spend time with the elder. Well, such and such, you can go anytime. You can go before, you can go after, you can take her this, you can do that, and you got to alter yourself, and you're not enduring things that are not friendly towards you. And in those presents, not that it's the fight or flight thing. No, it's just self-care, taking care of yourself at a time when I learned from my mindset and my belief that they were supposed to be times of joyous. But here I am calling one of my sisters a nurse and say, that pill that they gave me for pain that time, do you have? I was like, oh my God, I'm trying to be an addict. What is tramadol? I drank some once because I had an issue, and I don't take any medicine at all, y'all. Although I went through with this accident, I had to. But I was like, because it just kept me spacey for a minute, and I couldn't take it because it kept me too. I said, you have any of that medicine you gave me before I take a trip? Listen, that's a problem. That's an indication that you don't, if you've got to self-medicate yourself to relax, to get in that environment, that's a problem. Okay. Maybe you just don't go in that environment, you know. So
Surround yourself with grateful people.
yeah,
Surround yourself, be in a place that is light and easygoing and fun and fun. I when I did I run groups, do group counseling for substance users, and I'd say, "When's the last time you had fun?" And they'd say, "Oh, this weekend." And I'd say, "Why? Why didn't you have fun 5 minutes ago?" Have fun. Have fun. And you will find that you can be grateful because you are in an atmosphere that just produces gratitude.
Mhm.
that's good.
Yeah, you have me thinking too. Those who are stressed or are just grieving with things or whatever that might be, they gratitude. What are kind of solid ways of doing it? I'm sure you've done this, Pamela. You get people to design an environment that is comforting, just caring, and you use your senses, the smell, taste, touch, hearing, sight, and things that are pleasing in there. You go to a location, you give a warm cup of whatever your favorite drink is, a blanket, and nice, pretty music, or whatever you like to listen to, and put all that together, and it changes the way you see things, and it brings that positive in even from the outside. If you can't necessarily completely generate that yourself, you can experience that comfort and joy and be grateful for just having that availability and those things around you and circumstances. Just staring outside for me is a wonderful thing, seeing the beauty of the fall and the colors, or going out feeling a breeze, right? Listening to some pretty music. We had some classic stuff playing last night. Just all that is just a wonderful place to go for gratitude.
I call it their sacred space. I tell them to
Yeah.
create a sacred
Awesome.
space.
Right.
Awesome. That and Rich was taking me there. I was all ready to go, because we have to. And one thing that I'm learning is you have positioned yourself for other people and they have certain expectations for you. And so what you'll have to be careful of is redefining those expectations too, because like with me, doing things that people, I'd run and go work here all day. And then I get home and do a whole bunch, and Drum and I are working on a project at home. And he was like, "Okay, you ready to go do this and this?" And I was like, "No, I'm not doing that tonight." Because what I do is I'd work myself up into 9 o'clock working with the project. And it really doesn't matter if the project's complete or not. Those are self-inflicted, but his anticipation was I was going to want to because of what I've done in the past. And but he was fine with it. He didn't want to do it anyway. I come up with these ideas, But the thing that I'm saying is, well, I thought you wanted to get it done. I said, I did, but I've got to take care of my body first. And so I'm just going to rest, which he's always telling me that. And he just kind of like looked at me like, "You're really actually going to rest?" So I know he kept coming back to peek to see if I was on my computer or, my laptop or something, but I actually am learning, and I'm saying learning, and I'm stressing that to anyone that's listening that are saying, "I struggle with that." I haven't arrived, but I'm learning, and I've got accountability around me that says, "Are you resting? You need to rest." My sister Omega said to me this morning, because the pain was pretty severe last night, "Get in the hot tub. I'll come over and get in with you." You need to do that more often. And, even though it's right there at my home, sometimes we don't self-care, I guess, think of ourselves enough to say, "Wait a minute, pause."
Yeah, we put so much effort or emphasis on those other things. Like, I'll just get this done, then it'll be okay. If I just get this done, then I'll be okay. And looking for that settledness
Yes.
that comes from completing a task. But the reality is there will always be a task to address. They never stop coming. But I was sucked into the same thing. My dad was kind of a workaholic in some ways, and my mom was a child of an alcoholic. So there's that constant being busy thing. And I used to really put emphasis on completing a project, and I'd work
Right.
until it was done. And then you get the satisfaction, but then it's very short lived versus, yesterday I had the ideas to get a few things done, and I realized, I'm just tired. And just, those things are going to be there. Let me just put that down, go inside, right? Slow down, read a book, clean up, lay down. It's all good. Right. And I look at the project today, I'm like, well, it'll be there, Oh well. It didn't meet my deadline, but that really didn't necessarily impact me tremendously.
That is so good. And you helped me even with sharing that, possibly about your dad being a workaholic. My dad was too. And my mom, she didn't know when to stop either. She just always had a project or something that had to be rearranged or something. And the dinners had to be just huge. And it was just like, and everybody and his brother had to be invited to him. And I see myself mirroring some of those things. My dad, just all of the things that he got up at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning, at 6 o'clock, if you left later than 6 for work, anybody that if you're in the bed at 7 o'clock, you're lazy. I'm like, what? Give me a fire, give me a Western. You just watch me when I get back on the doctor's Friday at 8:30, in the morning. Okay, so there you go.
Can I say goodbye to everybody? I need to hop off the call.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, for definite. Yeah.
All right. Love you. Happy Thanksgiving, Pamela.
Pamela,
Happy
have a
Thanksgiving,
wonderful
everybody.
Thanksgiving. I'll see you tomorrow though,
I will
right?
be there. Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. I'll see y'all. Well,
Yeah, we'll see you. I get hugs tomorrow for real, okay?
Bye, y'all.
Awesome.
Take care.
Bye-bye. See you soon. But Rich, this is so good still. Opportunity. We should have probably let her talk about December, but we'll catch up. We've got another couple of months. Excuse me, a couple of weeks. We're going to do a couple of replays. I think the remainder of the month, but there's an opportunity that we'll talk about December later, but just put a nutshell on what we're talking about today. If you just kind of try to do that for us.
I put it all together. Yes. Yeah. Talking about attitude versus action and looking at hurt and pain, and throw grief and loss in there in these holiday seasons. And how do you be thankful in the midst of having hurt as well, whether it's chronic or it's acute? It's looking at areas that we can find positives in. And I would suggest if you're hurting in one area, find other areas to be thankful for. Even if it's like I mentioned, being thankful that we have a God who has a plan and this world is not the end. So if you don't finish your bucket list, that's all right, because we'll have plenty of opportunities to do all those things anyway. So that's important. And I think back to Genesis and what God said to Adam, and the idea that you're going to die. And a lot of people think that's a negative. I actually see it as a positive, because you get out of this crazy place and go eventually to a place that's sane and love and freedom and peace. So as weird as that may sound, having that as a positive as well, that not that we're wanting to get out of here fast, there's lots of joy and things we can have, but even if it's that, well, God's bigger than this whole thing, and keeping those things in mind, looking at what we can be thankful for, then recognize that attitude is one thing and gratitude is an action. And whether it's looking at scripture, going around people, and some of the things you mentioned, that staying away from circumstances that cause more pain and going towards things that are positive, and then giving ourselves permission, like Pamela said, to do self-care and whatever that may look like, but to recognize we need that. And if we don't, the pain doesn't go away. It often just gets masked by other things. So there is a balance of identifying the pain, treating the pain for what it is, and also looking for things that we can be positive about, so we're not just stuck in that woe is me with the focus completely on the pain, but also on the things that we can find thankfulness, joy, and appreciation for.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for recapping today's. I would just say one thing is, and I know some nutritionists might push back. I'm glad Karen Harrison isn't on our platform today, because I'm going to say this is, sometimes I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving night. Jess is sending us a package. She always makes us homemade brownies and sweet potato pies, and she's sending us a package. And so I'm already planning it. I'm going to
Comfort food, right?
Right, comfy food. I'm going to have a brownie and bluebell ice cream. Now,
While you watch a Western and have a fire.
there you go. But we watch a family movie, so I'll get my Western in there. You just better believe
I'm
it.
sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, even comfy food, and enjoy it, and make a point to Rich's recap of being in a space where protecting, if you will, Rich, protecting it so that those that you have the power to allow whomever in your space you so choose.
Yeah.
And if it's not,
I was going to say that attitude of knowing we're loved.
Yeah.
Right? We block that off so we don't have the infiltration of negative.
Right.
Really thinking that the gospel is an extraordinary message of our value.
Right. And even what Pam was saying earlier, some good music that ministers to your spirit, speaking the truth of what Rich is talking about. God loves me. He created me on purpose, our significance, and people care about me. But it's just like you said earlier, we all have said at some point today, that we focused on those that don't love us so much that we don't even realize that we're so blessed and highly favored and loved by so many others. Give them an opportunity to express. And then those that you love, express that love. This has been wonderful today. I'm so excited. I know over on the Facebook house, we've got a few consistent, 2 or 3 people that have been consistent there. We appreciate that. Not a lot of comments. And I thank Harmony for having joined us here on Zoom for a good period of time. To you and Pamela, Rich, thank you. Continue to keep on keeping on. Being that blessing that you are to so many, because God does reward faithfulness and diligence. So we just have to trust him for that. Okay, so this has been our Wellness Wednesday. The next couple of weeks, I think we've got some outstanding replays of previous shows that Lisa set up. I want to ask you guys to keep my friend, my virtual assistant, Lisa Muth, in prayer today. The reason she's not on the Facebook side of the house is because Jude's ill, and that's the extent of what I can say right now. She'll probably share it. She's very transparent and open. But just keep little Jude in your prayers. We've been praying for him for the last couple of years, and we just trust God. He's such a trooper. I saw some cute little pictures that she sent over last evening, and he's a trooper. And even I think about him and some of the things that he's endured, it does not interrupt his joy of playing and watching his little videos on the iPad. And Lisa, such an attitude of gratitude. They modeled that for me last night. And I was praying because John just went on deployment for just 3 weeks this time, but he just left Sunday. So there's a lot going on there. And she models that for me. She models gratitude. And I said, how are you doing? Because her and Jess have been going back and forth in the group exchange. And when I piped in later, and she said, all is well here. And I thought about the Shumanite woman. All is well in the midst of challenges. And I want to end with that. All is well. I want to, on behalf of the Georgia Christian Business Network, sponsors, members, and community, to wish each and every one of you an outstanding and the best holiday season ever, starting with Thanksgiving, which is my favorite of all, that you enjoy, eat as much as you want, Just tell them Beth Copeland said it was okay. Yeah, that's what I said, but I'm gonna put a boundary on it. Be done by Sunday. Okay, be done. And we start all over again.
Nutrition coaching, all right.
But don't put on so much that you gotta restart all over again what you've
Yeah.
already taken out. You know, use moderation. Listen, visit our website, www.gcbnetwork.com. Reach us on email, info@gcbnetwork.com. If you want to hear an outstanding message from Ursel Charles because of your interest in becoming a GCBN sponsor, join us tomorrow. We have an outstanding lunch just to celebrate our awesome and outstanding corporate sponsors that are faithful and committed to our efforts and our vision to put God back in business. Just reach out to me. I'd love to chat with you and see if that's a good fit for you. Okay. Otherwise, we look forward to hearing from you soon to let us know how we can assist you in putting God back in your business. Thanks a lot, Rich. See you tomorrow.
Welcome. See you, Beth.
Bye now.